So we are here in Nairobi, United Nations Environment Program headquarters, participating in the 6th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. I'm together with David Cooper, Executive Secretary of the Convention on Biological Diversity, and many other MEAs. And let me recall that over a year ago, parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity at COP15 adopted this very ambitious Kunming-Montreal biodiversity framework, a global biodiversity framework. Our parties in Minamata Convention COP 5th meeting last year adopted a decision on mercury pollution and the global biodiversity framework. And David, I've heard you saying throughout a message that the Global Biodiversity Framework is framework for all MEAs, that we all should contribute to a common goal. So please tell me, what does it mean, and also how you see the next concrete steps that we can bring closer Minamata Convention, Chemicals Convention, and Global Biodiversity Framework together?
Well, indeed, the Global Biodiversity Framework, the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, is intended to be a framework for all. The negotiators actually made clear, as during those 4 years of complex and sometimes difficult negotiations, that they wanted this to be something not just for the CBD, but for everyone. And that's really recognizing that if we're going to solve the biodiversity crisis, if we're going to halt and reverse the loss of biodiversity, if we're going to live in harmony with nature, we need everyone. We need a whole of government approach, all the different sectors. We need a whole of society approach, all the different actors, indigenous peoples, women, youth, business, finance, and so on. And certainly we've got this range of conventions that have been negotiated, all have their particular communities of practice, they have their particular tools, and we need to pull them together if we're going to achieve these goals. And many of those targets of the framework speak directly to some of these conventions. For example, there is a target focused specifically on pollution from chemicals, from nutrients, from plastics, and so on. Moving forward now, countries have to translate those global targets into national ambition and develop their national biodiversity strategies and action plans. And that too should be an inclusive process. That should engage experts who are working on all of these conventions, so that that National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, that NBSAP, can be a tool that supports all of the conventions. At the same time, when countries come to report on that, they can draw upon the reports they're making to the Minamata Convention, to the Basel, Rotterdam and Stockholm Conventions. There are already in place under your convention, under the other conventions, requirements for reporting, and you have the data that can contribute also to reporting on the Global Biodiversity Framework. And you've also developed tools and guidance and advice that can help the countries as they implement this framework as well. So I think we just have to continue working together.